So I love that term, think tank.
Think tank.
I mean, you know what a think tank is? Like, how's a think tank go, James?
Yeah, they got cancel culture nowadays. You gotta watch what you say. It's getting real scary out here.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know if I can take the conversation here, but we might as well. It's the Rethink Tank. Looks like you had a little bit too much to think here in the Rethink Tank.
Well, My Hero Academia is in its final season of anime. Manga has finished.
I heard people were upset at the end of the manga.
I am not. So I read the manga. I read it. And I wish I hadn't, because like I got tired of waiting for the anime, because season 6 was like 2 freaking years ago or whatever, Yeah. So I got sick of waiting. Read the manga. Oh my god!
It's bad.
So that bad? It's not a bad ending. I'll put it that way. Like it's not a bad ending for a manga. Like for something, because sometimes they just really don't get to control their ending or whatever.
Yeah.
But you've watched My Hero, right?
Yes.
So without saying anything to ruin it for you, because season 7 is ongoing right now for the anime, and I watch that every week because anime is only 2 weeks behind the sub.
So question real quick. How far am I in anime to manga terms? How close are we in anime to the end?
Season 7 is going to be the last season. And according to what I've Googled, season 7 is only going to have like 3 or 4 more episodes. We're getting near the end. Now, I don't know how that's going to happen, because there's a lot that has to happen based on the manga. So maybe there's a season 8. Maybe the anime is that far behind. But season 7 is supposed to be the end.
I hope they don't pull that bullshit.
The last episode was not far enough along for it to be like 2 episodes left, because the person still has to do still has to do a major act.
I got you.
And then there's the whole after the final act, like they end with like 8 years after all that shit. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting how they do it. But I like the ending, but there's a lot there's like stuff you want as a viewer and reader that doesn't happen.
Yeah, man, it's that's the only thing about anime is like this happened with Attack on Titan, where the manga finished for Attack on Titan and people were pissed, and so I was like, oh no, like.
Well, that's how I am with One Piece, man. Like One Piece right now is entering their final arc, which is going to be multiple arcs within it.
Yeah.
It's their final arc after like 25 years or whatever it's been, and like. It's going to be hard. Like I'm reading the manga because anime is so far behind. Anime is like 3 years behind the manga.
Oh, wow.
And so it's like, I kind of know what's going to happen, but I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this whole arc. And like, One Piece has been going on for so long. If the One Piece is just the friends we make along the way, I'm going to be pissed. Like if literally the One Piece, the whole arc is the friends we make along the way, I'll be pissed. And like My Hero didn't end like that. Like it ended great based on what I read, but you wish some other things, but it's not like you feel like just a complete cop out on the ending.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm worried about a couple of things with the ending. I feel like some things I can kind of see coming. Like I don't know, man. I'm like,
so have you watched the anime for My Hero?
Yeah, I'm current. Like
so you're up to date on the dub then.
Well, I watched sub.
Season 7. You watch sub. So are you up to date though on season 7?
Up to date on sub.
So I watched sub as well. So the last episode, All For One is heading to Deku and Shigaraki.
Yeah, and All Might got his Batman suit.
There's a whole lot that's supposed to happen based on my read of manga. So where we're at, there's like based on what I read, there's only about 4 episodes. And I can't believe that's true. Or actually, it may even only be 2 more episodes. And I can't believe that's true because what I read, there's a lot that still has to happen. Plus the whole epilogue series, like, probably 1 episode that it will be as well. like the 8 years after I mentioned. So like,
So it
I don't
sounds
know
like
how many there are going to be in this season, but like, oh my God, it's about to get great.
they might pull Attack on Titan did. Remember when Attack on Titan had the final season? It ended up being the final season part 2, final season part 3.
They might do that.
Yeah,
but,
they might do the same thing.
Crunchyroll has never done it like that. They've done, this is the season, like no part 1, no part 2. Crunchyroll has never done that. If it was Netflix, I'd be like, oh yeah, they're going to do a part 2, you know, but like Crunchyroll has been pretty good about staying true to the story.
All right, we'll see. You know, again, I'm sucked in now, so I'm gonna watch regardless. You know,
We could do like a My Hero episode, Alex. Hell, but
yeah, we could
Hey,
do that.
I think you guys should milk it for like 10 more minutes.
We could
Just keep it going.
We could do that.
This is it right now. This is the clip.
It's just yeah, man. It's like anime gets me where I get sucked into these animes sometimes, and I feel like so many animes don't know how to end right.
Dragon Ball Z ended with that crappy tournament series. Oh, I'm gonna go help Oob, you know, and then all of a sudden we get the Super series, and it's like, oh, that wasn't really the ending of Dragon Ball, you know?
Dude, they kind of pretends like GT never was a thing. Like in the timeline.
Oh yeah, GT was like that was part of it, but GT wasn't manga. And the creator of Dragon Ball had no role in that, and it was actually the worst series of all Dragon Ball.
I didn't know that Akira Toriyama didn't have no role.
Yeah, he had no part in that from what I had read, because I remember as a kid, I'm like, oh, Dragon Ball, yay! Oh my God, a new series in my lifetime, because like, you know, we kind of got like the dub version, which was years after the actual Japanese. Oh my God, this is releasing in our lifetime. It was crap. Like it starts off kind of like, okay, cool. But then it's like, okay, but this is like what, 10 years after Dragon Ball Z ends. And you're just like, okay, this is stupid. Like
best
what
thing
happened in
us,
that 10 years?
Yeah. The best thing it gave us was I do like the Super Saiyan 4 transformation. Like just as a look, as a aesthetic, I like the way it looks. I do.
Super Saiyan 4 was dope.
Yes.
But Super Saiyan Blue in the Super series is so much better.
Yes, I do enjoy Blue.
And that's what's sad is it made Super Saiyan 4, as awesome as it was, completely obsolete.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. It's not a thing. It's like
it's just completely obsolete.
Alternative timeline. So yeah, I feel like anime struggle with ending shows a lot. To the point now where I'd rather watch a shorter anime, just because I feel like those short animes where it's like maybe like 30 episodes, they have their whole story planned out.
And the best are when like these series that are 10, 20 years in the making have like they have a plot, but they keep adding to it as you go. Like they know this is going to be the end. This is how we're going to start. Let's fill the in between. Not like let's plan A to Z right away.
Yes.
Like One Piece, you said you haven't watched that. I've mentioned that. Like I love it. I've watched all 1,100 episodes, you know, whatever they're at. I binged it hard. I mean, it's been like 25 years. There's no way that creator planned this all, but he had a vision and he's just kept kind of filling it in, and he's kept feeding off of all of his original visions, and it's great. But like how it ends, that's going to decide how great the series is. You know, like you said, the endings, you never know like how it's going to go with an anime.
Can we agree? I know this is from an outside perspective, but like, is Breaking Bad ever as good as it is without? I mean, look at Game of Thrones. Millions and millions of dollars. It was the greatest series of all time, and they threw it away with the shittiest ending ever, and it will never, ever, ever have the cultural value it would have if it had a great ending. Look at something like Breaking Bad. I've never seen an ending that's just like such a crescendo, perfect piece to the chaos you lived on a day-to-day basis.
Yep. And
I love Doug's point. The ending will make or break a story.
And that's like we can list how many endings. Dexter, the Dexter TV series, terrible ending.
Boom.
Terrible ending. All right. And then the Soprano endings. I've never finished Sopranos. I'm 4 seasons in. But everyone talks about the ending where it just cuts. You know, like people hate that.
Lost?
Game of Thrones. Lost.
You lost me. I was hooked. Then you lost me.
Yeah,
I couldn't even finish it. Couldn't even finish
A
it.
series is really only as good as the ending, and that's why like these like this whole conversation of anime, like how it ends is going to decide it. The original Dragon Ball Z ending was crap, but they corrected it with the Super series. You know, My Hero, the ending's written, it wasn't bad. We'll see how the anime does of adapting it, though. They could still ruin it. One Piece ongoing for 25 years, but entering its final arc as final arc 25 years ongoing. If it ends with, like I said, the treasure is the friends you made along the way, I'll be pissed. I didn't watch all these seasons to have that be the ending. Like the ending is absolutely what makes the series.
Wait, real quick, outsider looking in, is it, because I should stay out of the conversation. Is it a show like on a hunt for a treasure?
Yes, so One
they're all
Piece
pirates.
is like a pirate cruise trying to find the One Piece, the legendary treasure. And
you're telling me there's a potential for it to be friends along the way.
Lots that goes into it, but people always joke because it's ongoing. You don't know where it is, what it is, because the series has been going on for 25 years. Great series. I love it. You don't know what the actual One Piece is. The One Piece is what you're after. And so, like, a joke is, what if the One Piece is the friends you make along the way?
Kind of like the Wizard of Oz. It's like that. It's like,
yeah,
dude.
I'll be mad too. And by the way, that's some pressure, boy. A 25-year long show, and then that has to be the most nerve wracking. He probably got anxiety through the roof trying to write the ending for that thing.
Dude, the guy has had multiple health issues or like taken multiple breaks where he takes like a month or two off. And people, you would think some of the hardcore people, you think they were gonna die or that the dude had a heart attack or something. They're like, oh my God, are we gonna get the next section? Oh my God, what's gonna happen to the characters? Like people get way into it.
I get it. I get it because you want this like George R. R. Martin, right? With the books.
We wanted his ending. He didn't
Do you
think
think
finish
he'll
it.
ever give an ending?
I don't think he's ever going to finish them.
No.
I don't think so either.
Here's my theory, right? I think he gave kind of the cliff notes on where his story was going to the Game of Thrones
writers.
The writers, right? I think he saw how much people hated that ending, and now he's like, holy shit.
So they did say he gave like notes.
Yeah.
Notes. And you're absolutely right. Like that may be been his thought. They maybe took some creative license with it. We don't know what notes he actually gave. All we do know is he's going to take the lessons of this, this final season.
As somebody that's kind of in the realm of content creation, in the same realm where ChatGPT exists, like there are some narrative passages that have been significantly easier just by the click of a button. And do you think someone like, R.R. Martin's out here saying like, it's all him. It's taking so long because he's just got to draw this from the ethos. But I'm curious, he now knows if this was the ending he gave, he now knows everybody hates it, right? They all know
if that's what he gave them as his.
And
notes.
I don't think it really was.
I believe
really
it was.
I don't think he made it that far.
We'll never know though. Too.
We'll never
that's
know.
The scary part.
And that's why he's so smart. Is because even if that was verbatim what he gave them, he could be like, I don't know what those idiots were doing, but that is not where I was going with that.
That's what he essentially.
and again, back to the ChatGPT crutch, drawing that nexus. How do you not spend hours and hours reading like Reddit and Twitter alternate endings?
Oh, I know what you mean.
Like, I bet here's what I want to project, which is wrong and inaccurate and slanderous. But at the same time, I do think that he will say, I created this ending, and it will definitely have had outside influence. Whether that's significant influence or not, you'd be stupid not to see what the majority of people want your ending to be. Like, here's the thing. The guy that wrote the end of Breaking Bad, they did not know what if the people were going to like it or not. They went off of their will, what they thought was best, and it turned out to be the best. You have an opportunity not only to know the ending that was given was dispelled or disliked, but then you can also get all of the creative mind from the hive mind. Like, get the creative idea from the hive mind. What does the hive see as the best ending?
Well,
and then tweak it.
Well, hang on. If we're going to go down this Game of Thrones talk real quick,
which
I have
love.
a few thoughts on not how it should end, because that's been overdone.
Yeah.
They're now in the phase of Game of Thrones where they're making sequels. House of Dragons.
Was already written.
The Night of the whatever. Exactly. The Night of the Hedgewoods or whatever that's coming out. What I would like to see as a fan of Game of Thrones is, and because there's probably more lore behind this because he's written like House of the Dragon, some of this lore, I'd like to see Aegon's conquest. I'd like to see the first men building the wall, like there are series, like the first spinoff they were talking about was going to be the Jon
So you would
Snow
suggest
stuff.
the writer. Okay, so alternate universe, which is our universe. The writer that we all praise, he's sitting here saying, it's just so hard bringing the great story from the ethos, and it's taking me longer than I wanted, but I'm working on it. And then the writers of HBO over here were like, hey, we're tired of waiting. We're going to get us to the finish line because we got to have something come out next year. So they move on, and he goes, oh, that was never going to be what I'm still coming up with it, but that was never going to be it. I only project this story because you can't also live in a world where you go off and write the rest of like the beginning, the side story.
But he has
Jon
these prequels already written.
Jon Snow going on a frolic with the redheaded chick from the wildling. That should come second to you finishing one of the biggest stories of all time. Like, I'm going to sit here and be the jerk that says, you actually are not allowed to move on. I don't care how much ADD you have. You have to finish this.
Dude, I'd be fine with him skipping writing an ending. At this point, people are kind of done with that because HBO ruined it. I'd rather him write prequel shit. Let's get a First Men, like I kind of said. Let's get a Aegon's Conquest series. Like we've got the universe. They could write these already with what he's kind of written with the background of House of the Dragons and all that crap. But I'd rather him write a book that they can write these prequels to than him finally, after all this time, finish his actual books, because people are done with, I think, these endings. Yes, they'd like to know how he ended, but I'd rather get some better stories done.
What's so crazy? Cool. I feel like the ending of Game of Thrones would not have been nearly as hated if the showrunners actually,
gave a heck.
No. If they took,
they were moving to Netflix.
Yeah, HBO offered them, hey, because remember, Game of Thrones was HBO's cash cow.
They also rushed this 8th season.
That's what I'm saying.
Been 9
seasons. They offered them, hey, y'all can take as long as y'all want to because the show was number 1. If they had took an extra 2 seasons, right, like 9 and 10, they could have told the same story, but got there in a way that was actually coherent and makes sense. Like, you could have told the story of, hey, Daenerys actually ends up losing her mind, right? Because all the seeds are planted. She's a Targaryen. Her father was the Mad King, right? But you didn't do the work needed to properly tell that story.
That's my thing, is like they skip from the Battle of Winterfell to almost immediately they're outside King's Landing. What happened in that, what is it, 2 months in between where you have to journey? Or there's so much, like, the way they made the TV, like, that's why I have to assume his books would maybe be better. But at this point, I think most fans are probably just done with that stuff. They'd rather see visually, people would love to read him finishing the book, but like visually, people want these new stories.
But no, Doug, that's what I'm getting at. Is I also think there's a world where if you finish your story, HBO and their pile of money will go remake a final season of Game of Thrones.
There's no way they'd remake.
No, Doug, you're so wrong.
You think all those actors would sign back on?
Here's where I disagree. I think if his final book is a totally different ending, which if he's not dumb, he should do. It's like, all right, make this a stark difference. Like maybe even consider letting the Winter Army destroy the wall, break through, and now you've got an army you got to fight. Like, take the story in a different direction. The Dragon Lady does not need to become Hitler to immediately die. We can literally
that's the thing too. Immediately died.
This was dumb. It was so dumb, and yet everybody creamed over it. For literally like 9 years, people were gripping over this story, and they screwed it up. I'm telling you, Doug.
They had so much leeway.
Hold up. I bet you, Doug, I could find numbers that show crossover. Take somebody in content creation. Taking somebody to a second location is so much more difficult than you're willing to admit, even if it's Game of Thrones. And so I'm telling you, there are less people watching House of Dragons.
Oh, no, we have it.
Hold up. If not different, I'm sure there's overlap.
House of the Dragons had dragons, though, and that's what most people wanted.
I can promise you.
No. We have
the numbers are higher.
No, we have the numbers. The numbers for House of Dragon are not as high as Game of Thrones. So we have the numbers on that.
They are not.
So you're losing that crossover.
Yeah.
But what you would trigger immediately, which is the numbers an HBO board is looking at, they're immediately going to go, I would rather, before we make Redhead Frolic with Jon Snow, I would rather make a first one season, just one more season of Game of Thrones, which is an alternate ending, which is the
like
R.R.
the
Martin
Snyder cut.
ending.
Snyder cut is a perfect example, but here's the key difference. Snyder already had all that stuff filmed. They had just refilmed. This would be years after these people are aged. They're moving on to other things.
Fair.
They may not want to act anymore. That's why it may not happen.
I want to draw upon that point. So there's kind of like a little hole in the center of Beetlejuice, which was a great movie. If you haven't seen it, it actually, like, I got to tell you, I grew up liking Beetlejuice, but I never really could watch it. Like, it was just so confusing to sit down and watch it start to finish. It really wasn't good enough for that. But Beetlejuice was fun. It was good. And the only thing I want to say, dude, this ending, not good. So much bourbon. This was a bad move. I keep getting to a point and then losing.
Yeah, you can tell he's right there. He's like
Beetlejuice ending.
I don't know.
Don't worry, we'll come back.
Yeah.
Come back to you. They can tell us the ending of Game of Thrones again, but you would have to do the entire thing over.
That's the thing. Yeah, they'd have to do the entire last season, like from where his book ended. If he came out with an actual ending, where his written, which I think his written stuff ended in season 7. So like 7,
hold on.
8.
So Doug makes a great point, right? So the thing that he initially raised was that these people are stupid old now. Like, have you seen the? I don't know.
Daenerys is still sexy though. Let's be clear.
Daenerys is still.
She ain't never gonna lose it.
Daenerys is still sexy.
But the guy from the Marvel movies, I don't want to.
The dude from
Winkler, Stinkler,
Tyrion.
Peter.
Yeah, Tyrion.
Peter Dinklage.
Lannister, the guy that hates people that like him that gets jobs in other movies.
He hates the new Snow White dwarf thing.
Yeah, that guy. Anyway, these folks are so much older than they used to be. And going back to Beetlejuice, they had something that's a significant flaw in this story is that if you watch the first movie, there's 2 ghosts that die in this neighborhood, and they end up being stuck in the house. So the whole story is this young girl and her parents that move into the house, them learning to live with the ghosts, and by the end of it, they agree to live symbiotically. How do you have the second movie and those ghosts aren't in the house, they're not in the story, they don't exist? Alec Baldwin is like 100 years old, like he's 50 years older. And the lady he shares the screen with is significantly older. So because they're supposed to be ghosts and don't age, they couldn't keep them in the movie. So now there's kind of like a hole in the story. I think
that's the biggest part there too, is how much time has
But
passed.
see, here's something cool. So Cruel Philosopher, Doug got me a gig in college as a security guard for Captain America Winter Soldier.
Best job we ever worked.
Oh my God, it was awesome. We got to be front row to like Marvel movies.
Not to mention the free food.
I got to tell Doug, the priority of Doug. I got to tell you, one of the greatest stories from that experience is I'm leaving for work. We work 12-hour shifts. I'm leaving. I'm pulling out. I'm leaving this parking lot. Doug goes, "Hey, you should probably turn around and park." And I'm like, "I'm going home." And Doug's like, "No, they just bought out a taco truck. You should at least get a free burrito before you go home." And I'm like,
priorities.
So turn that shit around, park. I am standing at the center of an intersection, right? So, or at a corner of an intersection, like where you would crosswalk. We're standing at a corner, eating a free burrito, never paid a penny for it, as Chris Evans is fighting Sebastian Stan on top of
wrong scene.
You're totally wrong.
Wrong scene. It was the scene where Sebastian Stan is jumping on top of a car. Chris Evans isn't in it. It's Scarlett Johansson.
Nope.
And he's looking
that was
behind the car.
In the day with Scarlett Johansson.
We saw.
Doug, I'm sorry. It was Chris Evans.
We saw the dude wipe out and smash his face into the car. Remember, we all laughed. You, me, and my uncle. That was.
I was not with your uncle at this time. No, I'm telling you.
All right.
Scarlett Johansson was early in the day. I don't know your uncle. Never met your uncle. I'm telling you, that did not happen. That might have been at a different point in the day. But I'm telling you, there was a point in time where I'm standing there eating a burrito while Chris Evans is fighting Sebastian Stan, and there is the Justice Center, the jail in downtown Cleveland, just full, like, hands
prisoners
out the prison, just waving, like all the way up the wall, just prison hands waving.
That I do remember.
And I looked at so they have like the production teams just like all around, and again, we're perfectly there at like feeding time, so all the important people are kind of just like hovering. And I remember asking this one guy, like, he looked at me and he says, "What's crazy about this whole scene is all of this is going to be gone and we're going to be in DC." Because I was asking him, like, what are we going to do about this building with hands coming out of it?
Yeah.
He's like, we're not even going to be here. Like, this street and the people fighting is all they need.
They film it at like a low angle where like half the shit doesn't get in. And if they need to, they do all that edit crap.
That's crazy to watch, like, from behind the scenes.
Well, there's a scene where I'm working there and they're filming a car chase scene, and they brought planted trees to put up along to kind of block off like the parking lots where this entire setup is. But like, I'm literally like, there's extras, and I'm literally like up against the wall, kind of like this, hiding because I'm not supposed to be in scene. But like, I know exactly where that scene was in the movie, and so I watch and I know it's like I'm hiding behind that wall.
That's dope. That's dope.
I agree.
That's dope. All right, fellas, this was dope.
It was a pleasure.
This was dope.
Thank you for your time, my friend.
Definitely, anytime. Like I said, anytime, I'm always there, man.
Hey, next time we're on together, we'll talk My Hero Academia, because I'm sure by the next time we're on together, the ending will probably be done. There's only a few more, like I said.
I'm nervous.
I am too, because like we said, it's all about the ending. That decides how good a show is.
All right, man. I'm begrudgingly looking forward to that conversation. All right.
Philosopher, have a good evening. Thank you for your time, my friend.
Thanks for watching Rethink Tank, and this was your dose of nerd talk / anime talk. Catch us at www.rethinktankpodcast.com. Thank you.
I love it. Good night.